F the past. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with the Get Up and Go Challenge, day 25. 25 already. I am so excited to be here, but I'm starting to get a little panic that I'm not going to be able to cover everything I want to at least touch on in just 30 days, right? That can guarantee that you're better off at the 30th day of this challenge. 30th day, I want to say the pandemic's over, but it's looking like the pandemic's not going to be over, which I guess we should have known when we first found out, at least for me in the state of Wisconsin, we were going to be shut down for a month. And I said, I got to do something to keep my own sanity, but to help other people to keep moving forward and progressing during this trying time as well. Because as human beings, we need to always be progressing. We need to always be feeling like we're moving towards something. And if you're home, which 2/3 of the population, it sounds like, is home either working or home not working, there's millions and millions of people that are not working right now because their jobs have been furloughed or they've been fired or let go or whatever from their company. And that's a topic for a whole, we could do a whole day breakdown of what and why that is going to impact us and how we can let it impact us. But we're here to deal with our own personal economies, our own what we're going to do about it. And the fact that you've been here for 25 days, or even if you just popped in, tells me that you know that and have accepted, hey, things have changed. What am I going to do about it? So today we're going to talk about the past. And I say F the past, and you might have gone to the F word, the Effenheimer, as my mom would call it. But I am talking about forget the past, right? Forget about the past. I know we all know there's nothing we can do about the past. There's nothing we can do to change the past. But how often, how many hours in your day, even now, I will admit, sometimes a past experience, a past relationship, a past mistake, because mistakes are experiences, right, pops into your mind, and instead of just letting it go, it'll sit there and fester, and then you'll throw all the other mistakes on top of it. It's called stacking, that you've ever made, or the people that have ever hurt your feelings, or the dumbest things you've ever said, and you'll just pile every negative thing about yourself onto it for like hours. Maybe not hours, but maybe even days or weeks. I've done that. I've held myself accountable for past mistakes that I've made for decades in some instances. And it's hard to admit that, but I didn't know better. I didn't know better at the time. I didn't know I had an option to let go of things that I've done in the past, things that I've thought, things that I've felt, experiences that I've had that I've kind of regretted. Now, if I've learned from them, I don't regret them anymore, but I had to go back to a lot of my past experiences and say, well, what the heck did I learn from that? Because if I didn't learn anything from it, I learned in my experiences that I was destined to repeat it. My biggest example for myself in my own life comes in the area of health, because nothing gives us a bigger wake-up call, COVID-19, than our health, right? We all know we're going to die someday, but when it becomes imminent and riskier and more probable than it was before for everyone on a global basis, we stop and we pay attention. When you get a diagnosis, when you drop dead and have a sudden cardiac arrest, you pay attention. When you get a diagnosis, a cancer or an illness, or get in an accident, you stop and you pay attention. You have to pay attention to your health. And over the years, as I quit taking care of myself, as I should have been taking care of myself all along, because we have to take care of our health, both our mental health, our emotional health, and our physical health, right? We got to take care of our bodies. And if we don't, if we let that go long enough, the world, our bodies, will give us a wake-up call. And I got a lot of wake-up calls and big wake-up calls in my life. And it just so happened that all of my wake-up calls coincided with Labor Day, which was another sign and another thing for another discussion for another day. But the past, I couldn't go back and I couldn't change any of those events. I had to learn from those events and understand that if I didn't make changes in my behavior now, in the present moment, because the only time we can ever behave or act or change anything is right this very instant, right? The only time I can change the way I'm thinking is right now. I can't change the way I was thinking in the past. I can't change what I was doing in the past. I can't change what I said in the past. I can't change who I chose to interact with, the experience I chose to have. I can't do anything about that. It's gone. It's by. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't change anything about the past any more than I can be taller than 5'1.5", right? I'm never going to be any taller than 5'1.5". It's just not going to happen. And that's okay. But I can learn from and find ways to build on my experiences and act now to create the future that I want by learning from those lessons. So the first thing we need to remember is that our past, does not equal the future. Our past does not even equal what we're experiencing right now. What we're experiencing right now, this very minute, is a culmination of all of the choices and the thoughts and the feelings and the decisions and the experiences that we've had in the past. And they're all appearing and manifesting in our life right now. And even though we can't change any of that from the past, we can change what we're thinking right now, what we're feeling right now, what we're focusing on, what we're giving our attention to, what we're choosing to participate in, what we're choosing to do right now. Making peace with the past is really, really important. I've had some really, really bad experiences in my past life, right? I remember, and I had to personally do a lot of letting go work on a particular event. I got fired from a job when I was pregnant with my daughter. Unlawfully, I got fired from a job. And it was really traumatic for me, and I took it very personally because I had not done anything wrong in that job. I'd been an awesome employee and everything, and I got fired. And I was really devastated, and I let the actual event of being fired was done in such a BS way and a cruel way that negatively impacted me. And it negatively impacted me for quite a while. I mean, my whole pregnancy, and for probably a year or so afterwards, I let that negative event eat away at my self-esteem and eat away at me. And it wasn't until I used some Tony Robbins strategies on it that I went back and I changed that event in my mind, and I took it from being this traumatic event and I blew it up and I replayed it in my head like a movie over and over again and made it funny and ridiculous and loud and quiet and crazy, that I was able to not erase it. It's still there, but it doesn't have any emotional charge or impact on me anymore. I used to just think about that event and I could burst into tears, or I would get sad or depressed or upset or whatever negative emotion, worried, doubtful, fearful. And it stopped me and paralyzed me from functioning. And so I was looking for ways that I could make that and have that not affect me anymore. And that's when I learned about that, the reimagining and retelling. We can always tell, and we all create our own stories, right? We all are creating and writing our own life story. But I didn't realize until that point that I could go back and I could change things from my past. And I couldn't change what had happened in my past, but I could change the story I was telling myself about that event. And so I could take away any of the negative charge or negative feelings that were associated with that event, which allowed me to free up my time and energy to move forward and create different things in my life. And I went on to have an amazing corporate career after that. I had it before that. That was a big dead stop, and then I had it after that as well. But for quite a while, it had a huge devastating effect on me. And I, of course, was responsible and was letting it, but I didn't know better until I learned better. So we have to make peace with the past. We have to realize that there's nothing that we can do to change it, but that doesn't mean there aren't things that we can do to be a better human being and move forward from it. Forgiveness is another big component of the past, right? And the biggest lesson that I've learned through my divorce and my relationship with my ex-husband had nothing to do with our marriage and nothing to do with forgiving him. It had everything to do, and continues to have everything to do, with me forgiving myself for the mistakes I made in that relationship, for not being willing to see and open up my eyes to what was really going on, and that it was a dysfunctional relationship for me all along, but I blinded myself and didn't want to see what was right in front of my face, which other people saw. I just chose not to see. Probably because there were some major lessons in there about relationships that I personally needed to learn. So forgiveness, we always think that forgiveness is about the other person. We just believe that. We think that, I don't know why, maybe church made us feel that or believe that. I don't know where that belief came from for me or where it might have come from you. But forgiveness is actually the gift that we give ourselves. Not only when we forgive other people, it lets us off the hook from feeling guilty for the part that we might have felt that we played in whatever situation we were in. There's a lot of things that happen to us that have nothing to do with us. There's just evil people out there that do bad stuff to us, right? And we have to forgive ourselves for just even, we feel guilty like the victim, But we have to forgive ourselves for being in a position of vulnerability where we even let ourselves get victimized or taken advantage of, right? So forgiveness is always about us. If you don't believe me, forgive someone today. Forgive somebody for something they did, big or small, and ask yourself after you do it. I mean, 100% just forgive them. You're not letting them off the hook. You're not saying it's okay what they did, but you're saying, I'm not going to let this eat away and hurt me anymore. Forgiveness to me is kind of like road rage and getting mad in traffic, right? A lot of times we're getting mad and upset about something that other people are doing to us, and most of the time they don't even know they're doing it to us, right? So we're the one that's getting all upset and hurt and worried and frustrated and all the negative emotions and energy that are building up in us, and they don't even know about it. Forgiveness is often the same way. We are hurting ourselves by not forgiving people, and the other person oftentimes doesn't even know that they hurt us, or that we're holding resentment, or we're angry with them, or we've been hurt by them. And so forgiveness, find a way to forgive yourself and forgive other people, to give the gift of forgiveness to yourself. I guess forgiveness is the gift that we give ourselves. I think I talked a little bit about now is the only time that we can act. And I'm a big believer in this. I remember reading Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, or whatever it is. I think it's just called Now. And I have like 5 books stacked up here because I could find so many amazing things to help us with the past and forgiveness and, you know, how to be mindful. But I picked one. I want to recommend to everybody and anybody that is on a spiritual journey of any type to pick up the book. And this is the playbook, but there's a book that goes along with it. Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting. And I will say that this playbook changed my life and my ability to move forward in my life at a time that my life was really messed up. And so can't recommend this playbook and the book enough. Oh, I'm sitting here right here with Eckhart Tolle. This one's about purpose, because after my sudden cardiac arrest, of course, I went on a journey to discover my purpose, because I thought there must be some higher purpose that I'm still here. Why am I here? And most people die because they have an event like this. Why am I still here? And that led me to a lot of books, a lot of reading, a lot of things, and to the Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting playbook. And I have to credit Jim Edwards with giving me the hint of this, because he's the one that told me about the playbook. And after I was on a cruise with him and his group, I did that playbook. It took me almost a year to get through that whole playbook. It's that powerful. But I want to do a couple things, remind you of a couple quick things besides just talking about the past and then leaving you hanging. The best way to not let the past have an impact on you now is to focus on now. Be present. Be in the present moment. How do you do that? You do that by being mindful. How do you be mindful? By breathing, by focusing on your breath, by focusing on this current moment. And if you want to know more about mindfulness, I'm on a 30-day challenge to read a book a day, and I did the Stress-Proof Brain yesterday, and there's some really incredible things in there about mindfulness and how you can use mindfulness to stay in the present moment. But the exercise I want to do today is one that really helped me with frustration. I used to get really, really frustrated over things. I always thought things should be different than they were. And my definition of frustration is now, of course, after I had the aha moment that that's what I was doing and creating all this, frustration's like a lot about, it's similar to focusing on the past, right? It's expecting things to be different than they actually are. So I picked the exercise that we're going to do today as be open to what is. It's in the Don't Sweat the Small Stuff journal, and I'll just take a couple pictures of it and put it in the comments. But this is a really good exercise to help us accept and focus on just what is. And how about if we take it a step further and we find ways to be happy and grateful and love what is? Because guess what? As soon as we start loving what is, we get more of what we love. We get more of, not necessarily more of what is, but if we find things to appreciate right now, we create more things to appreciate in our life. That's a universal law as well. So I'm going to put this exercise in there. It just asks us to take an inventory and check the statements that we believe are true for the way we think and feel. So like the first one is, I get up and it's raining. I hate the rain. Is that true for you? Then you would check it. If it's not, then you don't check it. And so you read all, I don't know how many there are. It looks like about 25, 30 things. And then you add up, I'm guessing there's 30 or 30 some. You add up how many you get, and that tells you how well you are at accepting what is. And this was a really good exercise and a really powerful one for me, because I discovered I was terrible about accepting what is and how things are. I was always expecting things to be different. So guess what? When I was always expecting things to be different, I spent a lot of my life tied up in a knot and frustrated. And so that was not a good way of being for me, right? I needed to find ways to deal with that. So this little exercise helped me to do that. Our homework for today, our assignment today, is just to share in the comments below one thing from the past, and you can just use 1 or 2 words to describe it. One thing from the past that you are going to either provide forgiveness for, or just let go of, or focus on the now. But one thing about the past that you are not going to take into the future. You're not going to let impact and affect you in a negative way anymore. That's our action item for today. But I'll throw this in here too, because I had really enjoyed what it taught me about myself. And that's our job, is to always be continually improving who we are and to learn more about ourselves so we can show up in the world in a better way. That's it. Have an absolutely amazing day 25. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow, day 26. I'd be lying if I said I knew what it was going to be about yet, because I keep changing my mind and I'm trying to find ways to pack in all of the cool things that I've learned over 47, 60 years actually, and that I want to share with you, so that I can guarantee, and you can guarantee, that you're better off after this situation, after doing the Get Up and Go challenge, than you were when you started to do the Get Up and Go challenge. That's it. Have an amazing day, and I'll, of course, see you tomorrow. Bye.